Good day, viewers, and welcome to class today. We want to continue in our series of discussion on WAEC English Language Examination. Today we shall be talking about paper 3, that is Oral English. And like we have before us here now, we want to talk about WAEC Oral English exam at a glance, test of orals at a glance. Now I want you to understand that we're talking about oral English. As far as the Nigerian school system is concerned, it's not trying to talk like a white man or create white man out of dark skin or be speaking Phonetic and things like that. We have basic requirements, all right, to be able to pass that examination and move forward with your studies. And that is exactly what we want to do in this class today. So I want to talk about test of orals. That is the oral English exam, paper 3. English language paper 3, we have 7 sections basically that are set in WAEC. That is section 1, same vowel sound, and this is tested in 15 questions, that is from question 1 to 15. And then section 2, same consonant sounds, question 16 to 30, and just like that. So in this class, we want to take them one after the other and then talk about the basic thing you need to know about how to answer questions on time, and that's just it. It's as simple as that. So let's take the first one. Section 1, same vowel sound. Step 1. Have a basic knowledge of what the vowels are. Vowels. Okay, vowels have been classified into 3 categories. We have 5 triphthongs. So we have 12 monophthongs. We have what? For the diphthongs, you have 8 diphthongs, and then you have 5 triphthongs. So altogether, we have 25 vowel sounds. 25 vowel sounds. So you should have a basic knowledge of a word that represents each of the sounds. So for this one, you can have things like bead, bead, and then for this one you can have beats. Then for this one, you can have things like bets. For this one, you can have things like bats. For this one, you can have things like card. For this one, you can have claws as well. For this one, you can have bottle. Then for this one, you can have cord. Then for this one, you can have a book. For this one, you can have moon. That's a long one. Then for this one, you can have sun. For this one, you can have girl. You can have again. Then for this one, you can have page. Then for this one, you can have a road. Then for this one, you can have fight. For this one, you can have mouth. For this one, you can have oil. For this one, you can have here. Then, for this one, you can have where. You can have where. Then for this one, you can have or, for. For this one, you can have prayer, and player can be there as well. For this one, you can have fire. For this one, you can have employer. Then for this one, you can have power. And then for this one, you can have more. So these are the 25 vowel sounds. The monophthongs, the diphthongs, and then the what? The triphthongs. So now, step 1, we say have a basic knowledge of these symbols. And then let me just put my step 2 here, and then in step 2, identify the parts, the sound that is underlined. That is underlined. So step 1, have a basic knowledge of what the vowels are. This is what we have. Step 2, identify the sound that is underlined. That is the part of the word that is underlined. And try to know which of these symbols will go in there. Then you have the final step, which is step 3, carry out sound comparison. Carry out sound comparison. Carry out sound comparison. So, have a basic knowledge of the symbols, identify the part of the word that is underlined, then carry out sound comparison. So, this is how to work on this and how to answer questions on same vowel sound. These are 3 things that you need. Now, let's move forward. Here's a question from WAEC 2013, question 3. Sheep is given. A, keep. B, feast. C, wine. D, brick. Alright, so identify the option that has the same sound as the sound that is underlined in the word. Remember in step 2, we said identify the sound that is underlined. So this is the sound. So you move on to step 3, which is carry out sound comparison. That is between your option, each of the option and the part of the word that is underlined. Look at sheep. Is it long sound or is short? Of course we can hear things like E there. So it's the E sound. This is that vowel 1 or vowel 2. But sheep. You can quickly recall that we have something like sheep. So of course this one is long, while this one is short. That means we'll be tested on the short sound. That is the short vowel sound E. So A, peep, has double E like the sheep, which is long E. So automatically you can eliminate A. What about this? Feast. Feast. This word is also pronounced as feast. You can quickly recall that we have a word like feast. So this is one way to differentiate between the sound that you are giving and any other possible sound that is close to the option you are considering. If you can quickly remember a word that has a similar sound, that is homophone. So if you have feast, you say, why do you want to sound this neighborhood? Okay, that doesn't sound like feast. So automatically you cannot compare them and say, okay, definitely this must be the long sound. So that's the way, something that can help with some questions. Then see, you have wine. This is wine. Alright? So you can just suspect this, wine. And now the first one is speed, feast, wine. None of these sounds is the same as the sound that is underlined in this word, because this word has what? Sheep. What about this? Brick. Of course, this is the correct answer. Maybe sheep with short sound, brick with short E. Peep, feast, and wine are not the same as the sound that is underlined in the given word. So this is how to answer questions in section A. In all of these question 1 to 15 in section A, you are going to be given a word spelled out, and then you're also going to be given options containing words. You're not going to be tested on symbol here, because we have another section, which is section 7, that is going to test you on the symbols proper. So both section 1 and section 2 test full words by underlining what? A part of those words. And then you are now being asked to identify an option that rhymes with this sound or that agrees with the sound. Let's use that word agree, because we are going to come across a section that is tagged rhyme proper. Okay, so that's that about section 1. Now let's move forward to section 2, which is say consonant sound. How do you answer questions on this section in the exam? That is question 16 to question 30. Another set of 15 questions. Now let's see. Section 2, same consonant sound. This section tests the student's knowledge of consonants. So to tackle questions in this section, the first step that you can take is to have a good knowledge of the consonant sound. That is step one, just like we explained under section 1. Have a good knowledge of the consonant what sounds. Now recall that we have 24 consonant sounds. Now let's look at the consonant sounds. The consonants. All the consonants that we have in English are 24, like we said earlier on. Okay? That is, we have 24 consonants, but we have 25 vowels. And the vowels are classified into 3: monotongues, diphthongs, and triphthongs, like we discussed under section 1. But for the consonant, they are classified into 2 categories. Here we have voiced sounds and voiceless sounds. So we can have something like this and say voiced consonant, and then we have voiceless consonants. The voiced consonants are 9 voiced consonants. We have 9 voiced consonants, and then we have 15 voiceless consonants. Altogether, they give us 24 sounds. So let's try to look at them. The first sound we have here is B with a corresponding pair P. We have D with a corresponding pair T. We have G with a corresponding pair K. We have V with a corresponding pair F. Then we have Z with a corresponding pair C. Then we have Me with a corresponding pair He. So you should check very well, these are just 6 pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're talking about 9 voiced and then 15 voiceless. So to make up the 9, we are expected to have 3 more sounds or symbols. Okay, and these sounds that we're going to talk about, they are hybrid sounds. If you look at this one, they are just letters of the alphabet. But these other 3 sounds that we want to add now to make up this 9, they are hybrid sounds. That is, they are not the regular letters of the alphabet. The first one we have there is J, and then the corresponding voiceless is Ch, and then you have J, the corresponding voiceless is Sh, and then you have V, that is delta, and then the corresponding voiceless is theta. So this gives us what? 9 voiceless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Fine. So with this 9 pair, we're not expected to have 6 extra sounds that come under what? Voiceless, which do not have corresponding voiced pair. So the first one is Ni. Ni does not have a corresponding voice pair, and then In sound does not have a corresponding voice pair. You have Ri sound, does not have a corresponding voice pair. Then you have Li sound, does not have a corresponding voice pair. You have We, and then you have J. These sounds do not have corresponding voice sounds, and that make up the 15 voiceless consonants. So quite easy to identify and pair with words. You can have things like bird, okay, and then you can have things like duck, D-O-G, duck, and then you can have things like gits. Then you can have things like van. You can have things like zoo. You can have things like man. Then you can have things like judge. So here the sound is present here, judge, okay? Sound is present here, G and G. Then you can have things like cheer, like player. The sound is present here. Then this is delta. Have things like though, these, or father. You can have things like father. So that's the sound. For the corresponding voiceless here, you can have thoughts. And then you can have tree. Okay, here you can have key. Here you can have fan. You can have sand. Here you can have home. Then here you can have chair. Here you can have shop. Okay, and then here you can have think. Then here you can have things like name, if you like. Then here you can have in sound, anything like a G. So you can have king, you can also have sing. Then here you can have road. Then here you can have light. Here you can have being. You. Now one thing I want to explain to you here about the consonant sounds is that you have to be careful of certain sounds. Sounds like wa. When this word is spelled in a word, it does not come out as consonant Y. There is no consonant Y. Let's say something like U, like we have in our last example, U. So this Y will translate to G. If I give you yeah, this Y again will translate to G. So there is no consonant Y. There's nothing like consonant what? Y. Not like that in English. So all Y translate to consonant J. Then all words that are spelled with the letter J, like jog, if I give you jog, this J will translate to the sound G. G. Okay, so that's what happens here. Check very well. So we have G, okay, be translated from George, jog, but you here, okay, give us the sound J. So this is one thing you must understand very clearly. From obtaining a basic knowledge of the consonant sounds, another thing that you need to know very well, okay, I can call this step 2, is to understand the 3 characteristics that play around the consonants. The 3 characteristics, the 3, let's say 4 characteristics. The 4 characteristics. Step 2, the 4 characteristics of consonant sounds production. So that is another thing that you need to know when you want to answer questions on consonant sounds. And what are those characteristics? We have what we call. So when you want to answer questions in this section, okay, apart from acquiring a good knowledge of the consonant sounds, you also need to understand that the consonant sounds are manipulated within 4 characteristics. The first one is a silent consonant. That is, when 2 consonant sounds occur successfully together, in some words, one of them could usually be what? Silenced. That is, not pronounced. Examples. So for silent consonants, you can have bam, L silent here. Then you can have something like comb. The B is silent. Here you can have something like receipt. Receipt. The P is silent. I have something like call. The what? The P is silent in this word. So you have to have a very good knowledge of the consonant, of silent consonants. The number 2 is a good knowledge of the consonant clusters. What are consonant clusters? A situation whereby 2 or more consonants occur successfully together and they are all voiced or produced in that word. So if I give an example like straight, straight, this is a situation whereby you have str, st-ray. Then if I give you a word like slate, slate, this is a situation where you are going to have SL cluster. So they can give you on the line 3 letters like this in the word and ask you to locate another word that has corresponding 3 letters underlined like that. Then the third case, example of past tense markers, are the way we pronounce the ed past tense marker in words. The past tense identifier can be pronounced as d, it can be pronounced as ed, then it can be pronounced as what? As t. If you have a word like moved, moved, this past tense is going to be pronounced as what? D. Okay? It's going to be pronounced as D. Let's just put it there. then if you have a word like eat, if I say divide it, a word like this D is going to be pronounced as ID. Then if I have a word like packed, if I give you something like this, then the past tense there is going to be pronounced as T. So you can have moved, divided, packed. So that's the third one. Then the fourth one, you have plural markers. In the same way, if a word is in its plural form, then the plural part of it can be pronounced as S. It can be pronounced as what? Z. Or it is pronounced as IZ. Okay? So let's look at a case like this. If I say something like cats, so this past tense marker is going to take S. What about cars? This past tense marker is going to take Z. It's going to take what? Z. What about houses? This past tense marker is going to take IZ or is. So these are the four operations that are around answering questions on what? Consonant sound. So when they underline something, and maybe they just underline ED, and then you can look for an option that has a D. If they underline something like what? S here, then you're going to look for an option that has a Z and not S. So you must have a good understanding of these characteristics to be able to answer questions comfortably under section 2. Now, let's have some examples. Why question 16, 2013? Sober. The underlying letter is B with the sound B, plosive sound. So now you ask yourself, which of these options contain the sound B? Although they contain the letter B, all the options contain the letter B, like here, you have B, 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 and B. But you have to be aware of the characteristics of the consonant. We have silent consonant, consonant clusters, and all of that. If two consonant sounds, or two alphabets, or two letters, consonant alphabets, occur together in a word, one of them is going to be silent if they cannot be pronounced together to give the sound of that word. Climb cannot be pronounced together to give the sound of this word, so B is usually silent. So you have climb not being there. What about plumber? Is that a plumber or plumber? What we normally hear is what? Plumber, not plumber. So B will go. What about lumber? Is it lumber or lumber? There's nothing like lumber. So what we have is lumber. There is B here. So expect do not do anything yet. Then the next one to have is what? Lamb. Is it lamb or lamb? Here, B is silent, you have lamb. So the option that contains B is what? C. Lumber. The other options contain B in their spellings, but B is absent in their production. Now the next question is why 2013 question 21. Days. You can see the way this question is coming from one of the four characteristics. Now we can quickly identify it as coming from plural markers. That's days, plural markers. So you ask yourself, which of these options contain the sound that is what articulated here? But it is say that it's S. When S comes after Y, I'm going to pronounce it as we have some things here. This or this or this. Okay, this one you do this or this or this. So we say this or this. Or days. We don't say days, we say days. Days. In those days. So you can hear that. What we have here is Z. So which of these sounds contain a Z sound? Of course you can easily see that is A. Freeze. But here is island. S is not even here because that S is not silent. So you have island, then face. Of course this is face. And then thanks. This is S. So the only option that contains Z here is what? Freeze. Days, freeze. You know, some students may be confused with this S. They may think it's days, and then they will be thinking between what? Face and thanks. So they will miss it. That is why you have to make sure you have a very good knowledge of the characteristics from which questions on consonants are based. So these are to answer questions on consonant sounds. Let's now move forward to the third section, which is rhyme on last syllable. Rhyme on last syllable. So how do you handle problems in section 3? And you are expecting to tackle 5 questions in this section, that is question 31 to 35. It's very simple. They will usually give you a word and ask you and give you some options, and ask you to identify the word that has the same rhyme, okay? That is, that has the same sound as the given word. The same sound as the given word. Now, the rules that we apply here, step 1, as usual, identify the right pronunciation of the given word, very important. Then after that, read through the options and pick out the word that contains the same sound. Now, let's have some examples. WAEC 2013 question 31. Clone, clone. A, crown. Okay? B, learn. C, brown. D, loan. We said identify the what? The right pronunciation of the given word. Clone. So you ask yourself, which sound is present here? Is L. That is vowel number 14, L. So crown, ow is ow. Ow sound. So it cannot work, cannot go. You have ow. Crown, crown. What about lawn? Lawn. Lawn as well will not go because it is long. Then you have brown, own, again is here, own, brown. Then here you have loan, loan. It's going to give you L. So here you have loan, clown, loan. So option D is the correct answer. B and C, A, B, C can go. Okay? Then you have WAEC again, question 32, 2013, monk, monk. A, you have smack. C, pluck. B, pluck. C, sunk. D, shuck. Shuck. Alright. So what we are being tested here is monk. Monk. This is going to be very simple to handle because if you look at the word very well, this is smack. But this monk, you can hear that there's N before K. But here smack, C before K. There's no N in this. Monk. Of course, this N is always pronounced. We normally hear that pronunciation in this word, monk. So there's no silent consonant here that you're going to be tempted to think of monk or monk. No, it's monk. N is there. So block, N is not there. You have sunk, suspect, sort of a shock. N is not there. So the correct answer is C, monk, sunk. So this is how to handle problems on what? Rhyme on the last syllable. Read the word very well, you pronounce the word and try to identify the option that rhymes with the given word. Now let's go over to section 4. Section 4, a test of primary stress. What is stress? Stress talks about the sound in a word or the syllable in a word that receives the loudest production or that is pronounced the loudest. So all the syllables in a word cannot be pronounced with the same degree of loudness. The particular syllable that will receive that loudest production or sound is usually written in capital to indicate primary stress on that syllable. Other examples of stress are secondary stress and your stress, but this stuff are not tested here. It's only primary stress that is tested in this section. And when you want to handle problems on primary stress, there are some rules that we can follow. We basically have 3 rules. The first one, for example, we can say, rule 1, place the stress on the third syllable from the end of a word. Rule 1, stress. So these are the rules. Number one, stress the third syllable from the end of a word if it ends with ate, ent, ity. So you just try to memorize these codes. Understand this rule. I try to memorize some of these word endings that can help you to identify primary stress in words. So here we have some examples from WAEC 2013 question 36. Indoctrinate. For the first one, you have the first syllable stressed, that's IN. Second one, you have second syllable, okay, from the beginning of the word and third syllable to the end of the word stress. And then here, three, and just like that. If you look at these words, going by our rules, what ends the word? That's what to do. What ends the word? This word ends with ate, net. Ate, net. Stress the third syllable from the end of the word if it ends with ate or fan. So rule one will take care of this for us. Say stress the third from the ends. This is first, second, and what? Third. So you mark option B. That is indoctrinate. Second one, question 40, same 2013. Acrobatic. So you can see how they are stressed. Go through your rules again. If a word ends with ate, stress the third to the end. If it ends with ion, ian, and ial, you stress the second to the end. I think this one has captured a question. So look for the end of the word. That's how to answer questions on primary stress. The end of this word is IC. So which of the rules is it? Third from the end of the word or second from the end of the very first syllable of that word. So here you're going to have acrobatic, first one, no. Then you have second, that is third from the end, no. Batic, this is the word. Batic. So second syllable to the end of the word, you mark your C as the correct answer. So this is how to answer questions on word stress or test of primary stress. Let's go over to the fifth one, which is a test of different stress pattern. Now, when talking about section 5, that is different stress pattern, we are going to leave the rules on the board because we use the same rules to approach them in the examination. So that what we are going to say here is to just change this to section 5 and start talking about it as different stress pattern. As different stress pattern. Different stress pattern. Fine, so that's what we have. Now, remember the rules like we explained on that test of primary stress. How to stress the third syllable from the end, second from the end, at the very first syllable of the word. So, looking at some examples here on the board, you have from WAEC 2013, question 44. Tradition, affiliate, beautiful, consistent. Now, if you look at these words very well, applying the same principle, if a word ends with ION, you stress the second syllable from the end. So you're going to stress the second here, second syllable. Fine. What about affiliate? Affiliate. If a word ends with what ATE, you're also going to stress the second word syllable. So you stress words liate. Not affiliate, liate. Then you have beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to say beautiful. No, is the first syllable here that will be stressed. Beautiful. What about consistent? So it says, if you look at A, B, and D, they all have their stress on the word second syllable. So the word with a different stress pattern is option C, beautiful, which has a stress on the first syllable of the word. Then next question is question 45, the same 2019 WAEC examination. You have A, constructive, technical, necessary, plentiful. Constructive, when a word ends with what? IVE, you stress the second syllable, that is tive. Constructive, constructive. What about technical? Technical is the first syllable. Technical. Okay, to go through our rules. Then the next one is necessary. It's the first syllable, necessary. Then remember you have plentiful. So if you look at these options, they all have their stress on the first syllable of the word. And the one that has a different stress is option A, which has a syllable or a stress on the second syllable from the end of the word. So you mark option A. So this is how to answer questions on section 5, a test of different stress patterns. So let's move to number 6, which is a test of emphatic stress. A test of emphatic stress. Section 6, a test of emphatic stress. Emphatic stress is another aspect of stress in oral English. It's one of the suprasegmental aspects of phonology. Okay, you know phonology is basically segmental and suprasegmental. The segmental section is the vowels and the consonants, and the suprasegmental are things like stress and rhyme. Now, what do we use emphatic stress for? As you can see the word here, emphatic. It's like when you are talking with someone and the person is not getting what you are saying. So you now want to like emphasize a word that will make the person to summarily know what you are trying to talk about. Like if I say, get out of this. Get out. Okay, in the first degree, you're going to tell the person, get out of this place. Said, did you say I should come in? I said, get out. So you now emphasize that word out because of the question that the person has asked. That question that the person has asked, okay, is the answer to the question. Yes, the answer to the question that you are being tested on in WAEC. It's as simple as that. It's also very funny. So what are the rules that we use here? Number 1, okay, we can say step 1. So we have these 3 rules to use, okay, when you are dealing with emphatic stress. Number 1, try to understand the context of the question. That is what the question is saying. Then number 2 is identify the stress words, which is usually written in capital. You know, in emphatic stress, a full word, a whole word is written in capital and stressed in a sentence. While in word stress, it's only a part of the word that is stressed. That's the difference between word stress and emphatic stress. Okay? Now, we also have cases of sentence stress, but we don't have those questions in WAEC. So, after you have identified the word that is written in capital, that which is the stressed word in the sentence that is given to you in the question, you now pick out an option, okay, that does not contain the stressed word, that does not contain the word that is stressed. Pick out the option that does not contain the stressed word. Now, let's have an example. WAEC 2020 question 46. The playwright gave a tribute to her mother. A. Did the playwright give a gift to her mother? B. Did the singer give a gift to her mother? C. Did the playwright dedicate a tribute to her mother? D. Did the playwright give a tribute to her father? So like we said, after reading through the question, number 2, we say identify the stressed word. The stressed word here now is tribute. Then to pick out your final answer, we say pick out the option that does not contain the stressed word. So let's go through. Did the playwright give a gift to her mother? This one does not contain tribute, so leave it alone for now. Let's go through the rest options. B. Did the singer give a gift to her mother? But this question is not talking about singer, so strike out B. We are talking about playwright and not a singer. C. Did the playwright dedicate a tribute? This option repeats tribute, which is the stress word. Then D. Did the playwright give a tribute to her father? This option repeats tribute and it's talking about giving the tribute to the father. So we'll strike it out as well. At the end of the day, you're going to be left with only option A that did not repeat what? The stress word tributes, and that contains the rest words in the expression. So you mark tribute as the correct answer. Finally, we talk about section 7, which is a test of phonetic symbols. Section 7, a test of phonetic symbols. So this section uses the same rules with section 1 and section 2 as discussed at the beginning of this video. Okay? The only difference between these two operations is that in section 1 and 2, of course, in section 7, you're going to be tested on what? Vowels and consonants as well. So in section 1 and 2, when you were tested on vowels and consonants, they gave you a word and asked you to identify another word that has the same sound. But in section 7, you are being given a symbol and asked to identify the word that has the symbol or that contains the sound of the symbol. So that's just the difference. Here you are given symbols to identify options that contain the words. And then here you are given words and then given options to identify. So now let's go through the examples. WAEC 2013. Say identify the word that contains the sound represented by the given phonetic symbol. 51. A, that's short. A. Here you have dream. This is short or long. I would say dream or dream. It's dream. And this is short sound, so just strike it off. Sees. We're going to say sees or sees. It's sees. So it's a long sound. That's a long E. What about here? Fee or fee is fee. Of course, D just have to be the answer because the other three first options among the four are wrong. So we're going to look at it carefully and say funny. Correct. At the end of the word, the last sound of the word, because you have two sounds in that word, the Y is pronounced as short E. So funny. Option D is the correct answer. Then you have 52. A short sound. This sound is a very weak sound. So you have to be very careful when you are producing it in words. Like, let's go through the options we have. A, curl. B, draft. C, then. D, spleen. Let's start from the back. Spleen, of course, is long E. So we strike it off. But the sound I consider is sound. Then here you have then. This is the third sound, as in E, so you strike it off. It's then. So it's going to be between A and B. Even if you don't know the sound of this word very well, you know that this is draft and this is what? So just strike out B and then A will become the answer. And at the end of the day, this word is pronounced as curl. Alright, 56, you have she sound, one of the hybrid sounds that we discussed under section 2. So you have here measure, and then you have huge, here you have pressure, and here you have church. So what happens here is that this sound is a J sound, that is measure. And then here you have huge, this is the Z sound, and then you have pressure, and this is she sound, and then you have church, this is she sound as well. So the answer that contains the right word sound is option C, pressure. Now you have me, helm, come, palm, arm. So if you look at these options very closely, you remember that under our discussion on consonants, we said it's an occurrence of what? Silent consonant, 4 characteristics. Silent consonant, consonant cluster, there's past tense marker and plural markers. So here, some things are going to play out. Helm. Is L silent or M silent, or is the L present here? Let's just suspect. What about calm? Of course, we know that calm. L is not there. Calm down. Can't say calm down. Calm is not calm, it's calm down. That's me. We go. The parlement or pam. L is not there. What about alem or am? So L is not there. Correct answer is what? A. So this is how to approach questions on WAEC Oral English examination tagged paper 3.